So let's have a little chat, shall we? Let's have a little occult chat. This is your host, the Occult View. I just finished my breakfast. Had a big breakfast this morning. Anyway, I meant to make this video yesterday, but I got caught up in the rabbit hole of YouTube. One of my favorite YouTubers posted a video at the same time that I was posting a video, and I had to go and watch them. So I kind of got a little lazy and hypnotized by their video. So anyway, I'm grateful. I went for a walk yesterday, a spiritual walk, and I'm just so grateful for breath. I'm grateful for my healthy lungs, my healthy heart. I'm grateful that I can walk a mile or more and I'm not out of breath. I'm grateful for this magnificent body that the universe has blessed me with. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about physicality, I'm talking about genetics and DNA. How I can walk and it feels like I'm walking on air because my limbs are good, my knees are good. I'm 45 years old. I'm not saying everything is perfect, but I can move, I can walk. And it's things like that that I think we forget to be grateful for. Not all of us, of course, but some of us. We forget to be grateful for the breath of life. We forget to be grateful to, the most high divine spirit, which is the great mother, Mary, whatever you want to call it, Sophia, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just grateful for the great divine feminine for giving the breath of life, for keeping me healthy, you know? And I'm 45. I actually think I'm actually more in shape now than I was, 25 years ago when I was in my 20s. I just feel I'm grateful because I'm going to tell you something. There's some 45-year-olds and they ain't rocking like me, child. Okay? They not rocking like me. There's some 35-year-olds who are not rocking like me. I can walk. I'm not sweating. I'm not getting out of breath. And I never and truthfully never have been that way, but I'm just grateful. It was a spiritual walk, and I was finding things that I was grateful about. And I'm grateful about that. And I'm going to go for another spiritual walk today. I just got to get up the motivation, but I'm going to do it today. And this veers into what I really wanted to discuss. There was a report that came out, I think a couple of days ago, saying that the United States has dropped drastically on the list of happy nations. And I really didn't listen to their reasoning for why it's happening. I wanted to have my own authentic, genuine, organic perspective on why people are so unhappy. And I'm sure it's not just in the United States, but they made it a point to emphasize the United States. And I found that to be kind of interesting. The United States of America is bankrupt spiritually and morally. And I know that sometimes morality and spirituality can be looked at two totally different viewpoints, and they may be viewed as having nothing to do with the other. But in my belief and in my perspective, the two are intertwined in certain ways. You know what I'm saying? America is bankrupt spiritually and morally. America sold its soul to the beast. And that is why, and when I say beast, I'm not talking about biblical per se. I'm talking about America has lost its spirit. America has lost its passion. And when there's no spirit and when there's no passion, there can be no happiness. We have allowed, number one, number one, I think the advent of social media has caused a lot of distress, devastation in people's lives. I think it has disconnected people from having intimate, and I'm not talking about sexual per se, but it has disconnected people from having intimate relationships with people. And even though some of us, like myself, we do like, I'm a bit of an introvert. I'm an introvert with an extrovert twist, okay? Because I like private time and I like time to myself. I don't like being bothered. I don't. I really don't like being bothered with a lot of people. But sometimes people do need people. And in this society, that's why I find it hard to just pinpoint this or blame America. I think it's a global thing. In most major developing or developed countries like America, we have distanced ourselves away from one another and we've put all of our faith and all, where is it? I can't find it. Here it is, my phone. We've put all of our trust, love, and energy into these devices. Do people even have the opportunity to take the time to even go out and enjoy nature? You don't have to go to some faraway land to enjoy nature. Nature is all around you. I know you can't see me right now, but I'm sitting in my den. I have a door. I have a balcony, a private balcony in my condo, a door that leads out to my private balcony, and I have two windows where I can look out into the woods and I can just see the trees and the sky. You can enjoy nature wherever you are. And I'm not talking about being a fanatic. And I'll get into that, into fanaticism in a couple of minutes. Because that's another reason why people are unhappy. But do people even take the time to go out, breathe the air? I mean, really breathe the air. Don't be focused on your human needs or you're going to do this, going to get a burger, going to do. No. Do you ever take the time to just say, you know what? I am grateful. I'm grateful. Doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank. And that's another thing. People spend so much time. I know money, we live in a capitalistic society. I know money is important if you want to buy the things that you need to survive. I'm not saying that. But what's the point? Excuse me. What is the point? Allergies bother me. It is springtime now. What's the point in having $1 million in the bank, having or living in rather $1 million home or more? What's the point in having all of these things, all of these cars, all of this stuff? What's the point in having all of this materialistic stuff and you're still not happy? What's the point in having $1 million home or living in $1 million home when you can't even get out the bed and enjoy it? You can't even walk around the block without being out of breath or feeling like your heart's getting ready to come out your chest. What's the point in having those things when your health, mentally and physically, is not where it's supposed to be? What's the point? America is a very rich country, and they're saying exactly what I'm saying, that the country is not happy anymore. And these are the reasons why. Because people focus on the wrong thing. I don't know why my allergies bother me, child. Mm. People focus on the wrong things. Yeah, you got success financially, but emotionally, psychologically, you're bankrupt. We can look at politicians and see that. We can look at some of these celebrities and see that. Not bashing, but just pointing it out. You know why this country is no longer happy? Because we stopped caring about the little things that make us happy, like taking a walk. We stopped caring about that. Not me. We stopped caring about the little things, like having, you know, dinner with your family. For those who can have dinner with their families, I understand if you don't like your family, because I don't like some of my relatives either. Getting together, having family night, playing Monopoly, playing games. Do people even do that anymore? Or are we too wrapped up over what Trump and Elon Musk are doing and saying on social media? And then you wonder why America dropped to low numbers on the happy list of the world. How can you be happy when, in this culture that we live in social media and everything else, how can you expect to be happy when we live in a culture where people are rewarded, they are facilitated in trying to tear other people down unjustly? Some people deserve to be torn down when they're doing disgusting, unjust things to people. But we live in a culture that celebrates people who tear other people down, like the Breakfast Club. Like the Breakfast Club. People, not we, but people celebrate that. And they have an entire history, allegedly, of tearing people down. But we celebrate that. We celebrate social media clowns who tear other people down. We celebrate reality stars who tear other people down. Do you all know that Bravo used to be a movie channel? Bravo was a movie channel. A lot of young people may not remember that. Before Bravo became a channel to host reality shows, Bravo was a movie channel. This was like back in the late 90s, early 2000s, maybe. I say bring back the movie channel. We live in a culture that tells lies and untruths that they can't back up. Of course, you can't back up lies because they're lies. We live in a culture that promotes to the weak sector of this society and feeds them information that's not true, which turns into fanaticism. And then you have these army of fanatics online who think that they can stalk, harass, and obliterate people's lives simply because you don't agree with what that person has to say, or you don't agree with how that person lives their life. And then there's no accountability for these people who try to destroy other people's lives. And you wonder why the United States ranked as an unhappy nation? We live in a nation now where the policing system can't even do their job. They can't even make the streets safe anymore because you have people who want to facilitate criminals and horrible people. Well, now that Trump's back in office, that may change because you know what his agenda is. But this has been going on for years and years. There is no happiness in chaos unless you're delusional. We live in a world, I'm going to say a world, I'm not going to just focus on the United States. We live in a world where right is considered wrong and wrong is considered right. You made marijuana legal. Now, when I was growing up, I was always taught that marijuana was a downer type of drug. And I don't give a fuck who I offend who smokes marijuana. I'm not judging people who smoke occasionally. I'm not judging anybody. I'm just telling the facts. Now, people can come up with all of the, pseudo science. Well, it helps with this and it helps with that. If you don't have cancer, if you don't have HIV, and I'm not giving any medical advice, but if you don't have any of these illnesses or any type of chronic illness, then why are you smoking this chronically? And I'm not talking about anybody personally, but everybody shouldn't be smoking no marijuana, in case y'all didn't know. Everybody shouldn't be smoking, especially a lot of men, because marijuana is an herb. It's an herb that comes from the earth, and it was used for spiritual practices. And it has a feminine, it has a feminine vibration and frequency to it, from what I understand. I don't know too much about it, but that's what I heard. And I've noticed that when men smoke it, especially a lot of black men, from my observations, probably other men too, but from my observation, when men smoke it, because I know, because I know for a fact, observation, when men smoke it, you motherfuckers get simple. Your attitudes change, your demeanor changes, you become distant, you become, what is that word? Non responsive, irritable, and you want to smoke some shit like that, whatever they've tainted marijuana with, it has made you all unhappy. It has changed the vibration and frequency of your brain cells. And it has made you even more unhappy because each man that I run into that smokes marijuana, they crazy as a motherfucker. They act like somebody, I don't know, they just act like zombies. My brother included. My younger brother included. When he's not smoking, he's the nicest person in the world. But when he smokes that marijuana shit, he acts crazy. He's nasty. He barely wants to speak. That's a problem. He acts like he's unhappy. And y'all want to keep smoking that shit. Now, women, it's a little bit different. I don't have that. With women, when they smoke it, it doesn't seem to affect them in the same way. It affects them, but not in the same way. But men, a lot of you men, you need to stop smoking that shit. That's why you're unhappy. Because it's making your mood go all over the fucking place. And I don't give a fuck who gets offended. I said it and I ain't taking it back. That's another reason why this country is so unhappy. Everybody is so offended about everything. Can't nobody say anything. That causes unhappiness. I'm going to say what the fuck I want to. Everybody's, is censored. You can't say this. You can't say that. You can't say this. You can't say that. You can't do this. You can't do that. I would rather have somebody just be honest with me and say, hey, listen, I don't like you because you gay. I don't like you because you black. I don't hate you, but I just don't like you. I'm going to stay over here and you stay over there and we won't have no problems. And I'm going to say to them, fuck you, but thank you. Fuck you, fuck your opinions, fuck your dislike, but thank you for being honest. And we can leave it like that. But the problem is that people who have those types of ideologies, on a side note, just veering off for a moment, people who have those ideologies, they don't just keep it right there. They want to spread it and they want to spread it to other people. And that turns into fanaticism. And then we wonder why we're a nation of people that are so unhappy. Because everybody wants everybody to believe in their philosophy. Here's another reason why people are so unhappy: religion. Fanaticism in religion. And I don't hate religion. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the concepts. I don't agree with the ideologies based upon my own spiritual experiences. I don't agree with a person telling me what I should do simply because they think they can. I have my own spiritual beliefs and ideologies, and I'm not telling anybody that they should follow me. So, what gives you the right to dictate what a person should follow, what a person should do, what a person should say, and what they should believe? And then we wonder why we live in a nation of unhappy people. Fanaticism, religion, what do they call it? Religious bullying, spiritual bullying, trying to use the Bible to condemn, to throw curses at people, to harass people, to bully people. And most of you stupid motherfuckers don't even understand the Bible, especially you Bible thumping niggas and bitches. You don't even understand it. You read it as a human. You're reading it under the lenses of humanity. You're not reading it under the lenses of the spirit. The spirit, man with dick and balls can't give you spirit. You have to get that from the woman. Uh-huh. That's another reason why the country is so miserable. Because it's being led by a toxic patriarchal system that should have never been put in place. You know, when my grandmother died in 1987, and this is proof that the black woman, or the woman, but the black woman, because my grandmother was a black woman, is the nucleus that holds everything together. And when the black woman is removed out of that position, everything is going to motherfucking fail. And that's exactly what has happened. And I'm only speaking in terms of the black community in this little segment, and when I'm talking about that. When my grandmother died in 1987, she was the nucleus that held the family together. Even though the family wasn't perfect, of course, but there was still a foundation. There was still some frequency and spirit. But when my grandmother died, my family died. The spirit of my family died. That is how I know what's happening in America from my perspective. Everybody has a right to their own perspective. This is my this is my church. This is my spirituality. This is what I do because I'm the occult view. And I break down what's going on in the universe. When my grandmother died, I saw the breakdown in my family. It destroyed my family. And that is proof that if something happens to the mother in a family, if something happens to the mother, it destroys and destabilizes the entire family. Because the woman is the one who holds things together. The woman. Because women can run a household, they can get pregnant, they can still work. They take their maternity leave and stuff like that, of course, you know. They can run a household, get pregnant, hold down 2 and 3 jobs. They can do all of that. Men, we can't do that because we ain't built like that. Those are just facts. Feminine energy, I'm not talking about this toxicity, but I'm talking about real feminine energy, not the energy that they're presenting to us as being feminine energy. I'm talking about real feminine energy has been taken out. See, feminine energy is the spirit, and they've given us a false feminine energy, which is really masculine energy, masked or impersonating feminine energy. See, we're talking about the spirit of America. Same thing they did to Africa. They destroyed the spirit of Africa was feminine at one, it's masculine now, but it was feminine at one time. But they took out all of the matriarchs and stuff like that, like they did over here in America. They took out the matriarchal system and they replaced it with people like Andrew Tate and P. Diddy and others who are operating under, how can I put this? They say they're masculine, but they're really pulling from feminine energies. But because they're men and they're masculine, how it translate, it translates in a very chaotic, havoc way, in an unstable, unhinged way, because they're not using the original source. You feel what I'm saying? And we wonder why we rank so low in terms of happiness in the United States. Well, that's why. We've lost our spirit. We are not grateful for the small things anymore. Everybody's looking for the grandiose of everything. Everything it has to be grandiose. We don't appreciate people who do good things for us, no matter how small it may be. We're so busy chasing fantasies, yet we're running into nothing but nightmares. You have average people who are so busy chasing these celebrities and social media influencers. You all are chasing all of these people while neglecting yourself. You're putting all of your focus and energy into someone else, celebrities, social media influencers, politicians, sports people, what do they call them? Athletes. That's why it really irritates me with black people sometimes, especially black men. You niggas run into all these motherfucking football games and basketball games, and then half of you motherfuckers can't even afford to keep your lights and your gas on. You're going to support the Redskins, but you got children over here that you don't even acknowledge. And you wonder why we live in a nation of unhappy people. Fuck football. Fuck them sports. It's nothing but a secondary way of being a fucking slave. No matter how much money they pay you, when they get you in those contracts, those are slave contracts. And once you sign them, the devil got you. And I'm not talking about somebody in the ground with horns. The devil is anything that is a detriment to your spirit. And I'm not talking about Satan and Lucifer. I'm talking about a whole nother entity. It's not a person of flesh. It's a principality. It's a principle. And it's a principle. It is a principle to ensure your own happiness. That's a principle. But you can't do that when you're too busy making sure celebrities are happy, making sure well known social media influencers are happy. You want to be like them. Nobody wants to be themselves anymore because you want to be like somebody else and then you wonder why you're unhappy. That's why you got to smoke all that marijuana to try to forget who you really are. And once the high wears off, you right back where you started in your miserable, unhappy life. Now, I understand people smoking a little bit of marijuana to take the edge off every now and then. That's fine. I don't care nothing about that. And I don't care if you smoke at all. You can smoke a Peru. I'm just pointing out all of the things in this country and this society that is making people unhappy, and they don't want to acknowledge it. They don't want to acknowledge it. We want to tiptoe around it. How could you say that about marijuana? I smoke marijuana. I do what I want to do. You most certainly can. But think of it like this. If marijuana was so good for you, excluding if you have chronic illnesses, like I said earlier, those people, I get it. But if marijuana is so good for you, then why do you have to keep smoking it? If it does so much good, then why do you have to keep smoking it constantly, all the time? Maybe that's a dumb question, but I'm just showing you why people are so unhappy. You have to take everything in because a lot of people tell me they smoke because it makes them feel good. But you're supposed to have natural endorphins that make you feel good. You're supposed to have those things naturally within you. I can sit, I can sit on my balcony, look at the trees, breathe in the fresh air, and that will tap into my endorphins to make me or take me to a state of consciousness that is like a euphoric state. Because a lot of people smoke cannabis to reach a euphoric state of consciousness. I get it and I understand that. But the stuff that they're putting in it now, it's poisoning you, allegedly. We've taken on this consciousness also that you can't eat this. They're putting poisons in the food. You're worried about them putting poisons in the food, but you're not worried about them putting poison in marijuana. You're not worried about them putting poison in alcohol and liquor. I'm not talking about wine. I'm talking about hard liquor. You're not worried about that. But you're talking about they're putting poisons in the food, they're putting poisons in the vegetables, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing chemtrails, this, that. And then you wonder why we rank so low as being an unhappy nation. We have allowed these people to play psychological games with us for so long. Chemtrails, food. And what if the gag is, ain't none of that shit true? What if the gag is, they ain't putting no poisons in the food? What if the gag is, all that shit is a psychological warfare or psychological warfare that's being used to make you feel like, I'm sorry, not to make you feel like, but used to make you sick, using your own mind, turning your own mind against you, because if you believe it, you will manifest it. Now, I'm not saying people shouldn't watch their diets and have a balanced diet, but every time you pick up your fork, you're afraid. Oh, they're putting this in the food. They're putting chemicals in this. They're doing this. They're doing that. And I'm not saying it's not happening. But what I'm saying is, do you see the psychological warfare that's being launched against your mind? They don't have to put poisons in the food. It's like the placebo effect. The placebo effect is spell work. If they tell you they're poisoning the food and you respond to that, then you're already creating that reality for your body, for your DNA to change. It's about changing and manipulating your DNA, and it starts in the mind. You have DNA in your mind too. So once they start telling you, oh, chemtrails, all poisoning the crops, all of that creates negativity, it creates fear, it creates panic. And then you wonder why America is ranked as one of the unhappiest nations in the world. And then I'm going to tell you something. It's probably been going on longer, but 9/11 2001, that was a game changer. And people don't want to recognize that. Yeah, I know what happened 5 years ago with the, with that, with, with the pandemic and all that. But this has been going on for quite some time. 9/11 was a test run to implement the things that we're seeing now. This country has been a very unhappy place for the past 25 years, maybe 26. Remember, they said in 1999 that the world was going to end in 2000, and simpletons and dummies and, you know, religious fanatics, they believed that Christ was going to return literally out of the sky and that the world was going to end and it was going to be the apocalypse, which is more psychological warfare. Religion is nothing but psyops, and it creates insanity. We live in an unhinged, ins- insane nation right now. But remember in 1999, they said Y2K. Remember? Y2K was going to hit the world. That was the bug that was going to make all computers revert back to 1900, and it was going to turn off your water, your gas, your electric. Oh, and civilization was going to be destroyed. Remember? Civilization was going to revert back to the 1900s. Well, how about this? What if that really did happen? What if the world really did end in 1999? What if that really happened? Because I was watching something. I didn't look at the whole thing because I like to come up with my own organic perspectives. What if that really happened? What if the world really ended in 1999, but it didn't happen the way that simpletons tell people in the Bible. See all of those, blue beam, Project Blue Beam, blueprints of fire and brimstone, which is more psychological warfare and psyops. Because Jim Jones, the cult leader, not the rapper, but the cult leader, he did the same thing to the people of the people's temple. That's how he convinced them to move to Ukiah, California, and from there to Guyana, South America, where he ultimately unalived them. He was showing them vision. I'm not showing them. He was not visions. I'm sorry. He showed them movie footages of atomic war and nuclear war. And he lied and told them he had a vision that this was going to happen. PSYOPs, Project Bluebeam, which is a manipulation of people's minds to enforce totalitarian societies, which totalitarian societies mean complete control over the masses. Religion, politics, food, sex, entertainment. Frances Cress Welsing told us all about it in her books as it pertained to race and white supremacy. But in my perspective, this is not about white supremacy. That's been the face, but it's about elitist supremacy. People who think that they're elite. In 1999, everybody was in fear of the end of the world in the year 2000. Before 1999, they said the world was going to end in 1990. And I found out why people thought the world was going to end in 1990 because of a bunch of soldiers who were playing around with a Ouija board. They got a message from some entity that told them they had to go to Miami to find the Antichrist and kill him. But then 9 years later, they said the world was going to end in 1999. What if the world did end in 1999? Let me get back to that. What if it did end? But we just didn't recognize it. What if it was not about biblical endings or literal endings, but it was about changes that were going to come in the new millennium that we were not aware of because we were too busy putting our one leg out and shaking our booty on the floor. Black people worrying about where you're going to get your next marijuana fix from or where you're going to get your Hennessy from. Keep them drugged up, keep them drunk, and they won't see what we're doing or what's really going on. What if the world really did end in 1999? And now we're living I guess you could say, the afterlife or the after effect of the end of the world. Because I have to tell you, things have not been the same since the 2000s hit. The early 2000s were a very interesting time. They were. And all we're talking about are reality shifts, shifts of consciousness, and awakenings. When we're talking about when they talk about the end of the world, code, subliminal code, there's a shift that's coming. There's a spiritual awakening or a shift that's coming. Everything that they call satanic and the devil, everything that they call evil and satanic, they always say that, shifts and awakenings and spiritual shifts, people that talk like that, that's satanic. So they put a satanic spin on it so to keep you out of it because they don't want you to shift to a higher vibration or to a higher frequency because they want to keep you trapped in the third dimension where you are bogged down with low vibrating emotions, heavy emotions, bad health, misery, unhappiness. Now, me personally, I have my moments, but I don't feel unhappy. I don't feel like these circumstances that they claim about the United States, I don't feel like they're having an effect on me because I feel like I'm in my own reality. You know what I'm saying? We go in and out of our own personal awakenings and shifts if we're spiritually in tune to notice them. Anyway, I think that's all I have to say. But think about that. What if the world really did end in 1999? 1999, 2000 was nothing more than a spiritual shift in consciousness. Some of us got it, some of us did not get it. I remember before I go, I remember, and I've told this story before. I was in Virginia Beach, 1999, it was the summertime. I used to love Virginia Beach. Virginia Beach, I used to love Virginia Beach. I know that Virginia Beach had a reputation for not being that friendly to black people, but I never had any issues when I went to Virginia Beach or anything like that. The people, they were decent. I mean, everywhere you go, you're going to run into something, but for the most part, they were decent. I know them white boys back in the 90s, back down there in Virginia Beach at nighttime, them white boys be carrying on at night in Virginia Beach. They a trip. But anyway. Um, I remember I was walking on the beach and I have ancestral connections and energies that are connected to Virginia, Kentucky, and Virginia Beach. I had an ancestor that actually owned a club and she had a house in Virginia Beach. And I was walking on the beach and the most amazing, beautiful feeling came over me. And I feel like I was talking to that great feminine divine high spirit, not in words, but in emotions. And the spirit said to me, Seer, enjoy this time because this will be the last time that you will be able to have this type of enjoyment for a long time. There's some challenges that are coming into the new millennium, going into the new millennium, excuse me. And I said, oh, okay. And I knew then that the world was going to change forever. I knew then, that was in the summer of 1999. I knew then, I was about, I think I was just 19, getting ready to turn 20. And I knew then that the world was going to be different, that something was going to happen, that there was going to be an ending. They kept telling us the world was going to end in 1999, and maybe it did, because what followed subsequently after that was in 2001, the 9/11 attacks, the wars that happened subsequently even after that. There was a portal that was open at that time. And the elites, they understood this. But anytime they talk about the end of the world is coming, that is code for there's a spiritual awakening that's coming. There is a shift in consciousness that's coming. There's a spiritual awakening. There is a shift in consciousness and an opportunity to grow spiritually. Whenever there's talk about the end of the world, they did the same thing in 2012. Now, It seems like every 12 years they say this stuff because in 2024, 2025, they're talking about the same thing. They're saying now that there's another spiritual shift that's coming. And you know what? That's true. Or they're saying now the end of the world is coming now again. It's like every 12 years or so, between every 9 to 12 years. And think of those numbers 9 and 12. Remember, there's 12 zodiacs. Wasn't it 12, the 12 disciples of Christ? I'm just looking at the numbers, the numbers of it all, because numbers play a part. So whenever they're talking about the end of the world, what they're really saying is that a major shift is coming and there's an opportunity for spiritual growth. There's an opportunity for you to create your own reality. But they're not going to tell you that. What they're going to tell you is that you should be afraid. You should fear. If you don't worship this deity, if you don't believe in this religion, you're going to perish and go to hell for eternity. That's what they tell you. And that's what keeps you trapped in this reality. And you wonder why America is so unhappy. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Take your vitamin B12. I don't know why I like to say that. I think because Fiona said that in American Horror Story. She was the supreme. Anyway, you all have a good day. Go out and enjoy the day if you can and enjoy having the breath of life. Enjoy and be grateful that you're healthy. That's how you keep yourself happy. You take time to recognize the little things because the little things are really the big things. We've been duped. We've been duped. Being able to sit in peace is not a little thing. That's a big thing. Anyway, enjoy your day. Thank you.